Welcome to the Geriatric Millennials. This is Jayme.
And this is Beth.
And we are two oldish, youngish, focus on the youngish ladies. We're discussing life before Google because we remember those days.
It's just a nice little walk down memory lane.
Yeah. How did we learn anything? How did we learn anything before we had Google in our pockets?
The other day, I literally was thinking about this. Like, what did I used to do in the morning when I would wake up and be awake but not want to get out of bed and I didn't have a phone? Like, what did I do? Because I know I didn't roll out of bed. I'm like, did I just lay there thinking? Like, that's wild.
I think that's what you did.
Yeah, but I was trying to think back, and I haven't really been without a device for at least 20 years, which is wild to think about. Maybe a little less.
Wait, what? Yeah. When?
At least since like 2007, I've always had like a little bit of a devicey in my hand.
I mean, before that, you probably had a Walkman.
I did not. I was not rich enough for a Walkman, but I had a Kool-Aid Walkman, as I've mentioned before, from my grandma's rebates. But yeah, I know I didn't like sit there and like put my headphones on and listen to music. So I'm like, what did I do?
I think you rested more.
I don't know.
Is that why we're so tired?
Maybe that's why we're so tired now. It's because that's what we were doing.
I know we're also getting older, but we're not taking and having that downtime that we used to have of,
for sure,
our own thoughts.
I know, but it's like, it is like perplexing to me. Like, I just cannot remember. I think when I was really young, I had a TV in my room. And by young, I mean like 14. I think I used to turn the news on, like the morning news. And I'd watch the news in the morning.
Oh, you had a TV in your room?
Yeah, it was not a great TV, but yes. It had antennas, like the little bunny ears, and it was like a push button one and didn't have a remote. But it was my TV.
That's cool.
Anyway.
Isn't it interesting that we have to kind of carve out space now to hear our own thoughts?
I mean, I don't want to hear my own thoughts, hence like the iPad and the, constant listening to audiobooks and Spotify and YouTube or whatever.
Here's the reason for me. I feel like I have such a long list of things that I want to read and listen to that I just want to take every opportunity that I have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Do I not want to hear my own thoughts?
I don't know. That's a personal question that you need to ask yourself.
I think I do want to hear my own thoughts sometimes because I will turn things off because I'm like, I have to think.
Mm.
Yeah.
The only time I really do that is when I'm at work. Or here's the thing. This is how I know I've gotten older, is that if I need to focus on directions and driving, I literally am like, let me turn the music down. Or if it's like heavy traffic or it's raining or anything that's off, I turn the radio. Let me turn the radio down. And by radio, I don't even mean the radio. I just mean the volume in my car because I'm not listening to the radio.
I was going to say, do you even listen to the radio?
No.
Who listens to the radio is what I want to know.
Plenty of people, but
does radio still exist? I mean,
yeah.
I know it does, but I don't listen to it.
No, but a lot of people listen to NPR and stuff. But anyway.
I do too, but I listen to the podcast.
Yes, we digress. So today, there's a lot of things that are basically like old ways of doing technology that we don't do anymore because of the amazing technology in our pocket.
Well, yeah. And not just old ways of doing technology, but old ways of accessing information.
So I remember having to do research in the library. And first of all, we still had encyclopedias, which I thought were very cool.
Encyclopedia Britannica,
yes.
Right?
Yes. And they had the whole thing. And you would go in there and open a book and get the book letter A and look up, artichoke and find out everything you needed for your 5th grade report. But I also remember the technology of I don't even remember what it's called, but it's like when you wanted to look through old newspapers and they had the little reels of film that you it had a little projector and you would scroll through old newspapers and stuff. I can't remember, but I remember it. And
I want to say it was wasn't a Rolodex.
It was definitely not a Rolodex.
That existed too.
But yeah, it's just that was cutting edge technology in some ways. And now it's definitely not.
Remember playing Oregon Trail?
Oh my gosh, yes.
That was cutting edge.
Well, yes.
At the time.
It was very much cutting edge. I remember back in 5th grade, we all had the Mac computers with the giant floppy disks, and people would play Oregon Trail and like Math Busters or something like that with these little green characters where you did like different math drills. But I really wanted to start a newspaper. And so my mom worked at a local newspaper. They gave us a grant to buy software to like, so you could do your own newspaper as a kid. So we had like, I think it was called the C5 Herald. I was the editor in chief. And
I love this.
I still have some old copies. So if I can dig them out, I will post them somewhere. But eventually, the kids that I worked with that were on my team, my reporters, didn't like my style, said I was bossy, and proceeded to have a coup in the library and kick me off the paper.
What?
And I still remember their faces that day of being told I was too much to run the paper, even though I was the one that started it. You know, I got it funded, all the things. I was doing the majority of the work on it, hitting deadlines, making sure they got the work done. And guess what happened to that paper? No more episodes.
How dare
No
they?
more issues. Yeah. I'm still very hurt and bitter, but it's fine. It's fine.
What were they thinking?
They were thinking that they could knock me down. And did they? Yes. But it's fine. You know, got to learn early to just let your dreams die. Anywho. But anyway, that's kind of a crazy tangent. But yeah, things have just changed so much. And when I look back, it's like, I think of my grandpa. So he passed away a year ago. He was 105. And I just remember what I was talking to him.
So old.
It's so old. But we would talk to him, and he would talk about like getting a radio and how they would sit around the radio, like a legit giant radio in their house. And they would listen to like the Lone Ranger and different things like that, like radio dramas and plays. And then we just kind of talked about all the technology he had seen. And like, you know, during like right before the pandemic, like I had bought like a VR set. And so I was showing him VR. So he went from like a radio to being in VR and everything in between. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Then I start thinking about the advances we've had. And yeah, like we started off with basically nothing. Like I remember my first computer, it was like 8,000 parts and it never really worked. And then eventually we like got a Mac for home, which was crazy expensive, but we had one. But you know, it's like everything shifted and changed for us.
Oh, for sure. We lived through all of
we were the last like analog, like childhood, like digital, you know, high school and up. Yeah.
Yeah. It is weird to think about how we used to get information too, because we used to have to make phone calls to ask questions of businesses and such.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know?
Like, what are your hours?
What is your address?
Yeah. And having a map, like not even MapQuest, like a legitimate atlas, whatever, not an atlas, but you know what I'm talking about. Those big, maybe it is an atlas, the big maps that you could have. And I remember one time we were doing a dance team event in high school, and we were like, oh my gosh, my brain is really firing on all these old memories. But so we had to like, we're going to go decorate the new girls' houses. But all we had was a list of their addresses. So my mom literally
decorate with what?
I think we just decorated with like our school colors and maybe toilet paper and stuff, like flat, like we made big posters like welcome to the team. And typically they were like freshmen or sophomores or I can't remember. But I do remember my mom hand drawing us maps with like street names and stuff because we had no idea how to get anywhere. And there was a couple people that we missed just because we could not find them because we didn't know the street names. And there was nothing to help us but an actual map, which is wild.
It is. I remember drawing maps. I remember someone drawing a map for me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember calling and asking. I mean, I don't know. How did I even get anywhere that I needed to be?
I just remember it was a lot of like, you turn right at the big red farm and then you do this.
Yeah.
And you just would have to, it was all muscle memory.
Okay. The other way that we got information was by people telling us stuff, and we just had to believe them because we didn't know any different. We had no other resources or access to things. So
yeah,
we just
word of mouth, baby.
Them.
Well,
like our parents.
Yeah. Well, I remember there was like this infamous rumor about Marilyn Manson, and do you remember it? Your eyes are saying maybe.
I might.
It had to do with ribs. I'll just say it had to do with ribs and things.
I had heard a rumor too.
Yes. But everybody knew that rumor wherever you went. And it's like,
I don't know
how
how
did
I
people
knew that
know it?
rumor.
Yeah. Like, how
Living
did people know
in
that?
Central America, that he had like ribs removed
Yes,
to make
yes,
things accessible.
Yes. So, and rumor, alleged, all of those things.
Who knows?
But the fact that
Why would I know
traveled
that?
around the world is
It
so
did.
wild.
Why would I even think that? I mean, why would I even? I'm surprised I even know who Marilyn Manson is.
I know. It was just a different vibe back then.
Was it though? Because now we know so much about so many people.
Yeah, but we know it because we have easy
But we don't
access.
even know if it's true.
No, but it's the whole thing is access, right? Like, because
Yes.
we, like, yeah, it's easy to know everything about everybody now because we can just look it up in 2 seconds.
Yeah, but
But it used to be like you had to like go ask somebody, or you heard about something and you're like, you had no idea if it's true and you had no idea how you figured it
Right,
out, but
right.
it just happened.
or you just believed it.
Yeah.
And now we can fact check all this stuff in an instant. And you know what's so frustrating is when I can't do that now.
Yeah.
You know, if for whatever reason in a moment it's inappropriate for me to whip out my phone and be like, what is this? But I do that and I like it. I like being able to know things right away. I get my questions answered immediately.
Well, that's how Guinness Book of World Records started, which
What part of that?
So Guinness Book of World Records was a book by the Guinness Beer Company. And somebody can go fact check me because this may be an urban legend that I've just picked up over the years. But basically it started as a bar book for when people got in fights of like, oh, who had the most this ever? Who set this record? And so it was a book of records. I mean, it's turned into something else over the years. But I remember
It's turned into a lot.
in 1988, I think I still have this book at the Scholastic Book Fair. I bought like the Guinness Book of World Records, and it was this. It wasn't like a cool book like how they have now. It was like this thick book, and it just had all these stats and records and all kinds of things. But it was basically to settle like bar bets and stuff, like Guinness, like the Guinness.
Yeah, the beer, the dark beer.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
interesting.
Yeah, so that was something. But
it's weird to think about how different it is for my kids
mm-hmm.
compared to when I was a kid.
Yeah.
In terms of access to information. It's insane.
Mm-hmm. Like you literally had to go to the library.
But you know what is interesting to me too? I was just thinking about this. There is so much on the internet now that we don't have a way of actually knowing if it's true or not true as well.
Well, a lot of it you can tell if it's true if you look at the source and whatever.
Well, you have to do that.
Yeah.
But if you not everybody does that, and you can find anything and everything out there.
Yeah, you can definitely find anything to like support your cause.
And now there's a lot of AI, and I just watched and liked a little reel on Instagram, and my husband's like, Jayme, that's AI. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, how do you know? I thought it was weird, but also really cool. And it's totally AI, but it looked so real that I didn't give it more thought. I just took it for what it appeared to be.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that's cool. I'm going to like it. But it was fake. And so I feel kind of dumb, but also I'm like, well, whatever. So the world we live in now, there's so much. And I don't know the brain science, but I don't think our brain necessarily knows when you see something, how to filter whether it's true or not. It just takes it in. You know what I'm saying?
My brain knows to filter it.
That has not been. It's so realistic looking.
Yeah, I understand that because AI is getting better and better.
It was an animal, okay? It was a giant squid, and it was being washed.
Okay,
and released into the ocean.
I've seen those.
And it looked real. It looked so real. And I was like, oh, look at that giant squid.
Yeah. I mean, there's telltale signs with AI right now.
I mean, don't shush, but
yeah, no, it's fine.
I don't know. I just thought it was a cool squid.
Oh, so, okay. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that per se.
Well, except that it's not real. And I thought it was real.
Well, it happens to the best of them.
Am I going to be one of those people in my old age that's just like, Jayme, don't be conned by everything?
The thing is that you're very trusting and open. And when you see things, I'm just trying to put a spin on it.
Why would I think that's not real? It's just a squid.
I know, but I don't know why. I understand how good it does. I saw something similar where people were quote unquote like washing whales to like help them. And it was just like, oh, I could see where people would think that this could be real.
It just didn't even occur to me that it could be or was AI. I was just like, this is bizarre. How cool is that?
Yeah.
That was my thought. And then Tony was like, this is not real.
Yeah.
So thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
And
But people
I
used
don't
to
know.
get
Now
duped.
I'm more wary. Now I'm like, oh,
Yeah. But I mean, people used to get duped back in the day too. Like, because people would, like think about all the Sasquatch and like Bigfoot photos, which I know there's some Bigfoot people out there.
careful.
Please don't come at me. If you believe that in Bigfoot, more power to you. Or the Loch Ness Monster, sometimes images like that maybe had been, altered or whatever. But there's lots of cases where people have like, look at this picture of like, a ghost in the background and it's, really a plastic bag that just hit a reflection of the light, but it just looks like that. So
Yeah.
I can get like at any era, like there was ways to kind of dupe people. It's just getting more and more advanced that it's harder to tell.
It is. And we are so saturated and we have such easy access.
Well, I also think too, it's just like you have to pay attention, right? Because we're swiping so
Right.
fast that it's easy to be like, oh,
Exactly.
that's cool. I keep moving without being like, oh, wait a minute, that there was some like uncanny valley about that. It's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway, that's changed for sure. I don't know. There's just like a lot of technological changes. Like I realize that a lot of people don't understand how to like research in the library now. Because like I figure kids today sound so, old, but I'm guessing that like when they're researching papers, they're just, they don't go to a library and search for a book.
I think
They're looking
they do
for
it
it all
on the
online.
internet.
Yeah, because like it's the most current information too, because it's like a book comes
Kinda
out and then
scary.
it's, yeah. But I remember, so when I was about 10 years old, I got very interested in like sexual like reproduction and stuff. And I remember I went to the library to the kids section and I remember looking in the cart. I think I talked to the librarian, very bold child. And then I went,
What did you ask?
I wanted to learn about like relationships or something like that. I can't remember. I was feral. Anyway, so then like
Good for you.
I remember too, like, I don't think I did it this time. I think the librarian showed me the section and there's like this little section of like books that were appropriate for kids about relationships and, the introduction to like what it, sex and different things like that. I mean, it was obviously for children. It wasn't graphic or, whatever.
Yeah.
It was super informational, answered questions I had. It was great. But I also remember like going and looking in the card catalog, like the paper card catalog and like learning the Dewey Decimal System a little bit so I could go in and like figure out where things were. And it was just such a different
Different
way to
times,
do
man.
things.
Here is where I really am grateful for Google in the moment. And
Mhm.
that is when I play a game called Bananagrams.
Oh gosh.
Because when I make a word and I'm not sure if it's actually a real word,
Mhm.
but it sounds like it should be,
Mhm.
I can instantly find out because this is a game with a race against
Time.
the time and
Yeah.
the person. You're racing. And so you don't have time to waste.
Mhm.
And if you have a word that's wrong in your on your what's it called thing that you make, the crossword or whatever, you don't get to count it. So you don't win. So it has to be accurate. I really appreciate that in that moment and in many moments, but that's one that comes to mind.
There's definitely a sense of like the instant gratification of just being able to know something. I mean,
Yes, 100%.
I was hanging out with a friend recently and they fact checked me in the middle of our conversation, which kind of made me giggle. We had a little bit of a discrepancy.
Is that the only thing it made you do? Were you
Yes,
also irritated?
It was fine. And I was right in the end, so that always makes it
You're
better.
like, go for it.
Yeah, it's like especially when I know what I know. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, go ahead, check it, fact
Please
check me.
do.
But it was nice to be able to like watch their face as they like slowly realize like, oh no,
She actually knows what
she
she's
actually
talking
knew
about.
what she's talking about, or she knew the thing. But in the flip side, like there's this subreddit called Tip of the Tongue. And so it's basically like where people have like a song or a movie or a TV show or a book, something where they have like vague memories of it. And the name is on the tip of the tongue, but they cannot remember. And the internet has like really helped me with that. Because when I was younger, I saw so much media and things. And as I got older, I wanted to revisit some of that stuff. And I remember one time I was in college and I had this reoccurring memory of being like 3 years old and watching a show on like maybe a Nickelodeon or something with this guy that was like a green puppet. And he had a big nose and it kind of freaked me out. And I kind of remembered like an intro song, like the melody of it, but that was it. And I remember I was working, I was an intern and it was the summer and I was bored. And so I was like looking up on the internets, which was around then. And I found the name of the show and it was like it like scratched the deepest itch of my soul. It was a show called Pinwheel, and it was kind of similar to like Sesame Street, but a little like the Nickelodeon version a little bit is what I can recall. And it's like, I even found like a short clip of it or something I didn't even know how they put it up because it was 2003. But anyway, I was just like so satisfied. And so
absolutely, because it drives
you
like
crazy.
Doesn't go away.
It's like
and if you can't
get it out, yes.
It's on the tip of your tongue and you know it.
Yep. But I think that like that instant gratification now is like, usually when I think about something like that, if I type in enough descriptors, it pretty much pops up.
Really?
And a lot of times it's like, and here's a YouTube video, or here's like, you can get it on
wonderful.
Tubi now or something. And so
wonderful.
that's cool. But it's just like,
Wait, what did you say?
Tubi.
What's that?
It's just like a free TV streaming service.
Oh.
They caused a ruckus a couple years ago at the Super Bowl, because their Super Bowl ad was like, it looked like the game had come back, and then it like looked like somebody had like was touching the remote and switched it to Tubi. So there's all these reactions of people like freaking out at their loved ones and screaming at them because they think they had like turned the game off. And I'm like, well, that was dangerous to be like, I'm sure some people paid a price for that. So anyway,
memorable ad
for some of the wrong reasons. But anyway, the instant gratification again of just being able to totally find whatever you need in this moment is so satisfying. And I don't know how we did it back in the day.
I know. Well, speaking of ads though, I do feel like I am totally targeted and bombarded and like way more than I ever was or used to be. I always had a wish list going of things that I wanted and stuff, but now it's just, I have to consciously try to like slow it down or avoid the ads because it's constant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that.
No, that's not as fun. However, like back in the day, I mean, commercials, they did it all day long, you know?
Yeah, but you had to be watching TV.
Well, that's what I was doing to me. So I think one of the greatest losses that we had to this whole switch is that, you know, we've lost like record stores. And my mom, she was the manager at like like the coolest record store in town, is how she put it, in like the 70s here. And it was called DJ's Sound City. And she would tell me how like people would literally like come into the thing and they would just hum at her all day long or sing little bits of song.
Oh, and she would try and find the song for
and
them?
They would know it because they listened to the records all day.
She was the human app.
She was the human Shazam, yeah, or whatever, you know, you want to use. And so I think that that's like, it's kind of the same as like the guys and the gals that used to work at the movie stores, like the rental places, where you're like, I have this movie that I wanted to see, and they would just know it. And I'm like, I kind of miss having that like human interaction of like, you know, just like somebody that's just an expert in one really specific thing.
Yeah.
And you could just go to them and ask them questions and it's not weird. And I don't know, it's just like, that was kind of a fun part of like being analog.
Now we just ask Google.
Yeah. Which is fine. It's just not as like personable and fun.
No.
And plus Google can't give you as good as recommendations as like a human that's like, oh, you liked that. Let me tell you things you might actually really like, and that's not just like another ad to push you towards something.
What about AI? Do you think AI is going to be that?
I mean, I think it already is becoming that in some ways. I mean, I don't love that because it's lacking the human connection. You know, there's a lot of programs now where people can talk to AI like a friend, and they treat it like a friend or a partner. And it's kind of like the movie Her, which is, you know, that was a lot. So I don't know. It's just a different era.
I don't think I saw it.
It's about a man that basically falls in love with an AI simulation.
Oh.
And eventually the AIs kind of keep evolving and changing and shifting. It's really good. Anyway, so
Times have changed. The way we get our information has changed significantly.
I think, and I'm really excited to see kind of where it goes in like another 5-10 years. I mean, I feel like it moves so fast now that even in probably a year it will be different, but like really in like 5 years, like what does it look like? What does it feel like?
I don't feel excited about that. I kind of feel nervous. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know why.
I'm excited. You know, I love a new gadget. You know,
it is really cool, but it just seems like we're getting further and further away from reality of humanity.
Yeah.
I don't want technology to take over.
Okay.
I don't want it to take over my kids' lives and how they interact with other humans.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's too late. Sorry. The ship has sailed.
Shut up.
If you're enjoying the podcast and would like to support the show, you can share episodes with your friends and family, follow us on Instagram at the Geriatric Millennials, or leave us a positive review and rating, all which help us to grow. Our theme music was created by the Finley Ghost. Check out their latest album now. Thank you so much.